Hello and welcome to Selah, Time to Pause, So What episode with me, Sam, and...
me, Gracie.
Hello,
Little
Gracie.
poem at the end. Hello.
How are you?
Do you want me to answer honestly or podcasty?
Honestly.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be honest.
I mean, it's up to you.
In the hope that... Well, I'm hoping by being honest, it doesn't drag things down, but maybe helps a little bit. So I'm not so jolly today. Finding today a little bit difficult, and yeah, so I'm a little bit like a flan in a cupboard, a bit flat.
Okay.
And it's because today is an anniversary of my mum passing away, and I just find it quite not so much today, but like the lead up to it gets me thinking and reflecting on that and not quite tricky time. So today I'm a little bit flat, but I'm sure after having spoken to you, we can, lift each other up a bit. Because you've not been very well today, have you? So
no, I had a bit of a migraine this morning, but
so because you've had a migraine, I will resist from singing.
Oh.
Yeah.
But your singing's not too bad.
Not too bad is still a generous word of encouragement. Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Can I also say, whilst we're on the words of encouragement, your reading for the Bible, I've always known you're a dramatic person. I was very impressed.
Thank you.
Wow, I think you've clearly built on the solid performance we've talked about before when you were with that shepherd.
My training has done me well, Master Gracie.
So well done. Well done.
Thank you. To start off our podcast today, we're going to choose our favourite song of this month from the Selah podcasts. As a quick reminder, we had I'm in His Hands by Phil Lager. We had Every Second, which was that lovely singing company song. Immeasurably More by Dan Elson and Salvationist Worship. We had Oh Love by the International Staff Songsters. We had I Speak Jesus by Charity Gale. We had Do They See Jesus in Me? There's a lot of songs this month. We had One Day More.
There's a lot to choose.
Yeah, One Day More from Les Miserables. And Jesus What a Saviour from the Territorial Youth Choir in 2008.
I think you've missed a trick here.
How do you mean?
I think you could have done that whole thing about the songs in a kind of pick of the pops kind of chart voice.
Oh yeah.
Counting down the top one.
To our
that
favourite.
many songs. Yeah.
Yeah, I just did them in order. Next time we'll have our top of the pops of songs from Selah Time to Pause. Which song was your number one then, Gracie?
They all spoke on different levels to me, but I have to say, in terms of what lasted longer after the podcast was over, and one that's remained with me is I Speak Jesus, because I just find that so powerful and use it in like every situation and circumstance.
Yeah, I do love that song. It's a very powerful song.
A bit dramatic. I can be dramatic because that's my, got grade 8 in being dramatic.
Yeah. But I thought you were going to say, because the song I chose also stuck with me long after. It was like an earworm. It would not leave my brain.
Okay.
Which was Immeasurably More, the Dan Elson one from Abide Worship. It just would not leave me. I was like, he's written a too catchy song.
So an earworm in the positive sense, a positive earworm.
Yeah, most of the time.
Definitely.
Yeah. And whilst I was re-listening to that episode, there was the underscore for that episode was Dan's piano part from his Abide Worship set, and there was the song that he played, Knowing My Failings by Gowland and Larson, that he'd reimagined in his own way. That every time I hear it, I really appreciate that. I think I mentioned it in our last So What. So check that out, Abide Worship. Link is up there somewhere.
I've got a little story linked to Les Miserables. Whenever I hear Les Miserables, however you say it, Les Miserables, it is a little bit, I do start to twitch a little bit. brings back a little bit of a memory. Not like a bad memory. I've got enough of those. It's more. Oh, I think even Sarah talked about it. Roots, didn't she? She talked about
yeah, she did.
And I used to do little dramas at Roots, little monologues and stuff. And there was one year, can't remember what the theme was, but each weekend had a huge theme that they would pull apart and do teaching on and worship and prayer and stuff like that. And Phil, who was kind of heading up the whole event, sat me down and went, Gracie, what I want you to do to start the whole of Roots conference, just going to be you. I want you to reenact Do You Hear the People Sing from Les Miserables. He says, I want you to reenact that scene.
As one person?
As one person. I'm not even a whole person. I'm 4'5" of a person. And he wanted me to reenact, because the music just clearly connected with him. It stirred him up. I mean, it is a very, very powerful scene and a very powerful song. I could not have done it justice. I kept going back to him saying, this is not possible. This is he goes, no, listen, keep listening to it. You'll get inspired. I didn't get inspired. I got absolutely terrified every time I heard it.
So did you do it?
No, I did. What I did do, and I think this was his plan all along, is it made me think about what I could do. So I went away. I didn't write a song, didn't write a musical. You'd be glad to know. I wrote a monologue based on the themes. So it did inspire some. Oh, but yeah, it does get. I hear Les Miserables and I think, what I've got to do? I've got to act it. I've got to reenact the whole thing.
Yeah. Do you still have that monologue?
I do somewhere. Yes.
Will we hear? Can we hear it? Can we hear it in the future?
Yeah. Really? I haven't looked at it probably in about 20 years.
Watch this space. It's time for our jokes. Have you got some jokes for us, Gracie?
Oh, yes, I have. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not too with it today, so you have to just bear with me a little bit. I'm also a little bit distracted. I've got to keep my messages on my laptop going because I've got a friend. They're stuck in A&E, so I'm just waiting to hear from them. But hang on. That is going to be a while. He drank invisible ink. He's waiting to be seen.
I was like, are you being serious right now? I was like, I can't tell what's going on.
Well, we've talked about favourite songs, but this week, right, Sam, I'd really recommend you do this. I read a book about glue. I couldn't put it down.
Very good.
What do clouds with a lisp wear under their trousers?
Don't know.
Underwear.
I was like, underpants.
Oh, Sam, got news. I had a date last night. It was perfect.
Ooh.
Tomorrow, I'll have a great.
I will stop and breathe in your presence. Just breathe. Just breathe.
What's your favourite Bible verse, by the way?
Whatever. Well, one verse is I think it's the shortest verse in the Bible. But to
Jesus
me,
wept.
Yeah.
Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah. Only because it just those two words communicate to me just how compassionate Jesus is and how he knows and relates to people, even though he's God. And in those two words, that empathy and that heart for others. So I'd say that.
I like that. I think that's that verse and the way you described it is very poignant don't know if that's the right word, for maybe this month's podcast, or specifically the life soundtrack episode with Sarah. So I felt like a lot of what she said was she's just wants to be Jesus in people's lives and have a heart to reflect Jesus's compassion and Jesus's, what was the word you said a minute ago?
Empathy.
How Jesus relates to us.
Yeah. And I think that theme linked to 3 episodes, actually. The one that Sarah, for the reasons you just said, was Sarah. In Abide, when Dan was talking about, if I've got this right, that thing, that what's our responsibility in faith and on our actions. So what do we have to do? And also Ian touched on that a bit about, the God that we serve. He hasn't just created it and then just sits back and watch. He's not like at the side. He's not hands off. He's kind of like involved in it. And then where God's involved in everything, there's that relationship we have with him, which means that we have responsibility and we have involvement. So I think all those 3 things linked together. And I found when I was listening to Dan's, that really, really came out the loudest out of everything that he was saying, that whole idea about what do we need to do. And I found this quote about, so this is in the context of when we see things change or situations where we need God to not work things out, but things to change. And it says it's a partnership. So it's a partnership of our effort and God's grace. So we can't do it alone because we're human and we're flawed. And we need God and God's grace. And it says, and it's like a partnership of heaven and earth. That beautiful marriage of supernatural and natural, so that they work together in tandem, illustrating this perfect Father for who he is. So it's not one without the other. It's all connected. Does that make any sense?
Like when people say, oh, where was God in that? Or where was, like, how did God move in that? He moved through our willingness to be his servant. And like through us putting that effort in and through us wanting to have more of him in what we do rather than more of us, that's the powerful thing that can then move in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And that whole thing of more of him, less of us. We've talked about that a bit before, but I need constantly to be reminded of that.
Yes,
and
definitely.
it's still having that knowledge of who God is. So God is still God. It's not making him small, because I think there can be a tendency. I know, like from my point of view, I sometimes make him think that he's thinking in human terms or acting in human terms, but it's still, and even though the situations matter to him massively, he doesn't approach it in a human way. It's in a, even in the small situations, he still approaches it in a big God kind of way.
Yeah.
So it's still recognizing that God is God.
Yeah, and it's like those episodes with Job, though, like going through the hard times, he listed all those different examples, like Joseph and his friend who was in Ireland, the musician in Ireland, who died because of that bomb blast. How God was still working through their situations, but in human terms, we can't. It's hard to comprehend that God was working in those situations, but like those people didn't let the devil work in those situations. It was, what can God do through this? And it's only after it's happened that you can kind of see that. Like in the middle of it, it's hard for our human brains to comprehend, I guess.
It was such a powerful image, that image of them stood. Did he say hours later? It wasn't even like days later. I think it was that. I think it was hours later, and they made that decision this
Yeah.
this is not going to end here. This is not how this ends.
This is not
how this story ends.
it's not the end of the story. Yeah.
Not the end of the story. And I think to be able to do that, like hours after such a traumatic, hideous experience, that it just, man, they must have had such a deep faith
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
It was such a powerful image. You know, when people, I don't know if you're ever asked this, but quite rightly, I think, people ask the question, when people suffer, where's God in all that? Yeah, or if something horrific happens, they're like, or they blame God in those situations.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is a very natural response. But the opposite of that, so when there's good stuff happening, I'm not sure they make God part of the picture. Whether
Yeah, I know what you mean.
God's part of the blame picture when it's all bad, but what about when it's all good?
Yeah. Because I guess some people have a mindset of, in the bad, you want to blame something. I guess. In the good, you don't necessarily think of blaming something. You're just happy for that good thing to happen.
Yeah, in the bad, you're wanting answers to questions, aren't you?
Yeah, that just emphasises the point of we need to remember God and the importance to look about what He's doing in our lives in all situations, isn't it? So, and I think the next episode of Selah Time to Pause will be the final episode of talking about Job.
I mean, Job, he's still going, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's still in the story. He's still alive and still. He's got all that being thrown at him. I've shared on here before that I've had some therapy to help with my mental health stuff, and currently I'm doing this thing. It's a method that quite a lot of psychologists encourage you to use if you're trying to deal with trauma. It's called dropping anchor. It's something that I'm doing on a daily basis at the moment because of where that kind of stuff is at. And when I was listening to Ian, he was talking about storms of life and that thing.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I think dropping anchor, everyone should give it a go. Like, even if it's...
Oh, yeah.
So it's very, very simple. So basically, it's not that easy when you've got, like, stuff coming in your head, but it's something you need to practice for it to really establish. So you drop anchor, and basically you take things that you know to be fact, to be truth, and you in your mind you kind of drop that to the bottom. That's the anchor. That's what you know, right? Nothing can rob you of that because that is truth. No trauma, no memories, no situation can change that, right? You cling hold tight to that and you drop it. And you do that and you almost let the storms kind of lap at you, go for it. But you're not shifting because you're rooted in what you know. You can't be damaged. You could be, buffeted around and whatever, but it's not gonna. You'll be a bit bruised and battered, but it will not harm you because you have not let go of those things that are true. And it's kind of like a moment where you instead of fighting the situation and battling it and going, because you're going to lose if you do that without the truth. You almost you let it happen. It's like an acceptance. You let it happen. You let it pass through, and then it's gone. And then you are still left with this truth. And it is, for me, that is exactly the same with like faith as well. Life hits you with loads of storms, doesn't it? On many different levels. But if you drop an anchor and you know what you know who you know, and you know that to be God, you ain't gonna be damaged or harmed.
Reminds me of that song, "Who You Say I Am." Like we know who God says we are, and nothing can change who he says we are. Nothing can change what he's done for us, and nothing can get in the way of that. Yeah, I like that.
It's like fronting it out, isn't it, as well? It's almost like it disempowers the threat, I think, a bit as well from like if you're in some kind of situation where it's a battle or where it's difficult. Use those words that you quoted. Yeah, I know who God is. I know who I am.
Yeah,
that can't be removed or taken away.
Yeah, and I guess we go through some times in life where we don't know what's going to hit us, but if we're laying down those anchors, then it doesn't matter what hit us. We're still prepared. It's like standing firm in preparation, no matter what comes. It's I like it. I like it a lot.
Thank you, Job.
Thank you, Job. Yeah. See you next week for his final stand. Monthly reports. We're going to start a new thing this month called Monthly Reports, where we do it anyway, but it's kind of more official now, of anything that's happened in this month that is worth reporting on.
It's maybe...
Gracie, have you got anything to report?
Something's just come to my mind that just made me a little bit... It's probably not what you want to hear. It made me giggle a bit when you said that about anything.
All right.
What did you say? Significant in the month? Any news of the month?
Anything worth reporting on, did I say?
Anything worth reporting. But you don't get a newspaper really anymore, do you? You read it online. It used to be in a newspaper. They would tell you what the weather had been.
Right.
Not what
As
was going to happen.
Aware.
I always used to think, thanks. I lived it. I don't really need to know what the weather's been. That's what that made me think of. Anyway, that's not what...
Anything to report?
Anything to report. On a serious note, anything to report?
I'll report something to you whilst you think.
Go for it. Yeah.
This week was my daughter's dedication service, or christening, if you don't know what dedication is. It wasn't a christening, but it was dedication, but it's the same thing. I was chatting to my barber about it, and I said my daughter's get dedicated, which is why I got my hair cut.
Very nice.
He said, what? What's dedicated? I was like, christened. I was like, oh, right, okay. So, yeah.
Did you, do you want to share anything that was in the service that particularly was nice? Like from a book?
It's all a bit... Oh, yeah, good. It's like we planned this. I was like, is this a hint? I know, I got the hint. Thank you. We got a gift of a book. Let me show you the book. There it is.
Yeah.
Sparrow's Prayer, but the psalm that was chosen, not by me, for the service was Psalm 139. And in the back of this book is Psalm 139. It says, this is verse 1 to 4. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down. You are acquainted with my ways even before a word is on my tongue. O Lord, you know it completely. And that is...
Cute.
So there you go. Let me show you the picture.
Look at that.
Isn't that lovely?
That's quite a lot to explain to a little one, isn't it?
Oh yeah. That's the last page of the book. There's lots more to do with Sparrow.
Cute.
Check it out.
Nice.
We should get a sponsorship deal.
Yeah. Sparrows.
That's my Bible verse for this month. Next month we will have another Bible verse. We've had 2 this month. There you go. 1 from each of us.
I too. I'm trying to think of my news, Sam.
Whilst you think, again, if you, the listener, have any news for next month, do let us know. Email us, plexus@salvationarmy.org.uk, or put it in the comments, or send us a message. See you down there.
You're not just pointing to your desk. Does it have to be biblical news?
Nope.
Okay. I've got 2 bits of news.
Tell us.
One's a celebrity one. One's a celebrity one.
Oh.
And the other one is kind of a celebrity, but she's a celebrity in a different field.
Hit me. Hit us.
Okay. So my first celebrity one was I went to my local high street, and there, opening up the local hospice, was an actress called, I never know how to say her surname, Brenda Blethyn. I think that was her surname. People who listen to this may have seen her in many TV dramas, including Vera.
Okay.
Now, Vera, do you know who Vera is?
No.
Right, Vera is a TV detective, and she wears a very, very long, like, trench coat, big floppy hat, drives around in a clapped out old Land Rover.
Nice.
Just looks a bit weathered and worn. When I was waiting for her outside this shop, there was this woman inside the shop who had dressed up as her.
Oh, right.
But she left the shop before Vera arrived. What was the point in that? She'd gone to all the effort to dress up as her and then didn't stay around to meet her.
Was she dressed up to meet her?
She must have been. She looked just like her off the telly.
Oh,
You have to dress up to look like that.
Did she, or did she just look like that?
No. Really? Sure. No, people don't dress like that.
Oh, okay.
Only on ITV
I'll take
drama.
your word for it.
Anyway, so yeah, I met a celebrity. And the other
Nice.
one is my little auntie that not many people will know, but she is kind of a celebrity in my eyes. She's even smaller than my mum was. Now, if you can imagine, I'm a massive 5'1".
Mm-hmm.
Then my sister's 5 foot. She's older than me, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
My mum was 4'8.5". And my auntie is even smaller than my mum. Tiny, tiny, tiny.
Wow.
And we were recently at a funeral at where my auntie goes to church, goes to the Salvation Army. And I don't really see my auntie in that context. I've not done for years since we were little. And we were at this funeral, and it was the funeral of her best friend. Right? They'd known each other for, I lost track, maybe 60 years, something like that. And my auntie was very much involved in the funeral because she was really the only family, I guess. And we were at this funeral, and if you looked around at the people that came to that funeral, see how she had her hairdresser there. So her hairdresser, who has never set foot in a Salvation Army hall, came to the funeral, and she was chatting there. She had a gardener who came there, and my aunt is like 88, right? She's 88. She can hardly be seen, but just to see all these people come and be part of the funeral service was just funeral celebration. Was just quite a powerful thing, quite a nice, uplifting thing. So yeah.
Nice.
So it doesn't matter how old you are or how small you are. God can still use you to encourage other people. That's what I got from that.
Yes, he can do it immeasurably more than we could ever ask or imagine.
There you go.
There you go. I've got some celebrity news I've just thought of.
Oh, go
It's
on.
it's not as exciting as your celebrity news. I was picking up a cake that we had ordered for the dedication. Personalised cake from Costco. Great cakes. And next to our
massive, aren't
cake, they are massive. Yeah, I'll put a picture on.
Yes, do share.
Here it is.
Share the cake. Nice. Yeah.
I know for a fact that YouTube golfer Rick Shields goes to the same Costco that we do because he's put videos on. And there was a cake next to ours with the name Shields on. So I slightly took a picture and had a look around to see if he was around. He wasn't.
So your cake was next to potentially somebody who might have been a YouTube golfer. Wow.
Yes.
I mean,
the biggest YouTube golfer.
I feel embarrassed to have even mentioned Vera.
You should. I mean, what news? We'll do prayer requests. Prayer requests. Do you have any prayer requests, Gracie?
Yes, I do. I recently found out that my landlady is selling my flat, or selling her flat. She owns it, I rent it. And it's a little bit up in the air as to whether I can stay.
Okay.
And my house has become somewhere that I feel very safe and feel, connected to community and stuff like that. There's lots of good things where I'd like to stay. So a massive answer to prayer would be either that somebody buys it who is willing to have a tenant, so a buy-to-let thing, or that I will have some kind of clarity as to if I do need to leave, where to go. Because it's very, very, as many people will know, it's very expensive moving, whether you're buying or whether you're renting. So it's that's a little bit of a concern at the moment, a little bit of a worry. So yeah.
Okay.
Some answers would be amazing.
We will definitely pray for you.
What about you?
Good question. I put this section in and didn't think of any for myself. If you, the listener, have any prayer requests, then do also let us know and we will add them and pray for those. Thank you. My prayer request, I've thought of one.
Go on.
I am going to the Salvation Army conference this weekend. Belonging and Believing conference.
Oh.
About Salvation Army membership and inclusion and all that jazz.
Right.
So I'm playing guitar there.
Uh-huh.
My request for prayer is that the outcome of that conference is positive and that I'm not nervous to play guitar. Two very different prayer requests, but
You can do that.
I'd prefer the first one rather than the second one to come true, but never mind.
You know what I'm going to say to you about your guitar?
What's
Don't
that?
fret.
Don't fret. Nice. Speaking of frets, do you have a song for us, Gracie?
I do. I think it's a new song. Not that makes any difference, but it kind of sounds quite fresh anyway. It's called Gonna Be Good, and it just very simply talks about how no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the situation, you're going to make it through, and that God is good in all things. He provides in all situations, and He provides more than we can ever ask for.
Look at the birds, how free they fly. Look at the lilies growing so wild. No, they don't wonder if rain's gonna fall down, or if the sun will ever come on out. So I won't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna worry about itself. I got about a million reasons to praise you. I got about a million stories to tell about how you always made a way through. I may not know where we're going, but I know that it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. You know my need before I even prayed. You know me better than I know myself. So I won't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna worry about itself. I got about a million reasons to praise you. I got about a million stories to tell about how you always made a way through. I may not know where we're going, but I know that it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Every day's a good day to praise you. Every day's a good day to praise you. Thank you for another day to praise you. Every day's a good day to praise you. I got about a million reasons to praise you. I got about a million stories to tell. Let me tell about how you always made a way through. I may not know where we're going,
Hello, this has been Selah Time to Pause, a podcast from Plexus Salvation Army, an online church in the UK.
I'm Ian.
I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Sam.
If you've enjoyed journeying with us over these last few weeks, join us every Monday
Or any day that works for you.
to spend time together, taking time out to pause, catch our breath, draw near to God and refresh our spirits.
We share Bible teachings,
Reflections on songs we're listening to,
And on what's going on in the world around us.
as well as this. On the last day of the month, we look back and reflect, share any thoughts from our listener community, and ask what we can take from it into our daily living.
what we call our personal So What's for the month.
Join us, making us part of your regular routine, spending a few minutes to listen to what God might be saying to you.
Find us on your favourite podcast streaming service
On Facebook,
Or YouTube.
by searching for Selah.
that's SELAH.
Time to pause.